I write fiction. I've written in, I guess, relationship category, with, I guess, starting out in the early 90s was closer to, say, Connie Briscoe, Tina McElroy, Ansa, and I've also written crime, which, I mean, for me is more like the Walter Mosley type stuff, but only it's contemporary. You know, Thieves' Paradise, Drive Me Crazy, grifters, con men, always stories with the anti-hero. People live in that gray area that I write about. Even though I've done a couple of characters who are assassins, duet work, hitman, whatever you want to call it, to me it's still people with an occupation. Now, some people love their job, some people don't like their job. And I'm writing about a character who's like, you know, don't you ever just doesn't this ever just bother you? Which is the same as like working somewhere. Don't you just get tired of working here? I mean, don't you think there's more something else to this? We give characters these things that make it more than just a hitman, you know, because they're still human, you know. Their moral compass might not be pointing the same direction as ours, but you know, but they're still whatever, you know. And at the same time, as I do these characters, I do read stuff on psychology, because if I'm writing about a sociopath, I, as a writer, I can't get in the way, because I'm thinking, oh, that's wrong. You know, as a writer, I have to go, oh, that's good, because that's what makes the story work, you know. And that's what has people turning the pages. You know, those type of characters in that world is so, anything can happen at any moment. I write about this world when I do that. It's a world where it has its own rules and its own laws, and the police aren't invited. So if we have beef, I am not going to dial 911. You know, it's almost like the old West kind of way. We have beef, you did me wrong, I'm not going to let it go. You know, male or female, that can be any character, you know, because people who want revenge are just people who want revenge. And it's interesting about just the whole concept of revenge. As a society, on one hand we can say revenge is wrong, but people love revenge. They love to see people get revenge. I've written about some characters who have gone out for revenge. And in my mind, as a person, as a human, I'm thinking, this is so wrong, but the readers are applauding this character because of the revenge, you know, especially if it's a woman getting revenge on a guy, you know, regardless of what he's done. It's just, yeah, because I think people, they live vicariously, because I want to be able to do stuff like that, you know. Or even like the this character Gideon I did, who's a hitman. I've had more guys come up and go, dog, Gideon. And that's it. And it's like, we know exactly what that means, dog, Gideon, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man, you doing another Gideon book? You doing another? I mean, I've had so many guys show up, like, dude, Gideon. And that's all they'll say. You go like, wow. Sleeping with Strangers, Waking with Enemies. And the next one, Down for Revenge, is a Gideon book. Either trying to create a series or doing a sequel or stuff like stuff that I've never tried to do. You have a lot more to work with outside of, say, like the earlier books with their relationship. And the big question, did they get married? Did they have a kid? Well, that's not enough to... It's all about conflict. That's not, you know, that's a postcard. It's not a book. You know, had kids, love you, bye. You know, every story, it needs that conflict. I mean, you have these wonderful, likable characters, or the characters they don't like, but still, you got to have some reason for them to turn the page. If you just have a book with just pedestrian things and people just being happy, it just, you know, it gets put down. That's just the way it is, you know. It's like having a book about a vampire who never bites anyone. And the same thing goes for, you know, for this, you know, for the stories I write. Even if it's, even when I write relationships, you know, once again, man versus man, man versus nature, man versus himself. Relationships are man versus man. That conflict right there. You know, I don't know if people really see that, because they're so busy trying to romanticize everything. And me, it's that individual and individual, you know, and that is the I'm trying to be me, I'm trying to be me, and that is like the conflict. You know, when you start combining lifestyles, home, finances, all this stuff. I mean, what, you know, when I write about it, it's like, what happens then? What's 10 years later? What happens 10 years later?